About software development. Well, hello there and welcome to another edition of The Big Q. Today we are talking about software development, innovation, and of course how this will not only help Rwanda, but of course Africa and probably the whole globe. And that's why today I'm joined by the Country Director of Andela, Mr. Clément UWAJENEZA. And of course, he'll be telling us much more on this. Welcome to the show, and thank you very much for making time to be with us, Clément.
Thank you for having me here, Fiona.
And of course, congratulations on your new appointment.
Thank you.
We start off, of course, with a very important question here that many people have posed. The country has a vision of having at least 10,000 software developers. It's a vision for the country. And of course, Andela has come in, I'm sure, to also help develop this same process. What would you say we need to do more to achieve this? And where are we currently, the state that you've just joined in, where are we right now as a country?
Well, I will start by where we are at the country, at this stage in the country. We have a good number of schools, university, now at the level of secondary school, polytechnic level, that are equipping students with the knowledge to write code, to develop software. I mean, I don't have the actual numbers in mind, but by the ICT Chamber, which is the private sector body that obviously looks at software industry and information technology industry as a whole, I think we estimate there would be close to 20,000 people who have been equipped with this knowledge. But now the challenge remains to have at scale a good number of software engineers, software developers who are actually capable to work within software engineering teams and produce world-class level type of software. And this requires to have gone through huge amount of experience writing sizable amount of code. And that's where Andela comes in. We have figured out over the last 4 years of the existence of Andela, a method that allows us to develop through a learning process, develop people who either have knowledge of software development or do not have at all any knowledge of software development, to develop them to becoming world-class software developers. And we've done this now for about 400 plus software developers in places where we already operate, Lagos, Nairobi, Kampala. We are starting here in Rwanda with an objective to continue scaling that and with a plan to develop at least 500 software developers over the next 5 years. Of course, we expect to even do much more than that, therefore contributing to the objective of having 10,000 software developers. But again, here is the ability to have people who are not only writing code, but our model is to develop them and directly employ them for them to work with global tech leaders, actually writing code that powers the products of the today and the future.
But what would you say then is your selection criteria? Because you've said even if you don't have a background in this, you know, it is something probably interests the young ones to come in and join. How do you select them? Is there a specific rule or model that you use?
So our model is based on one simple truth, that brilliance is evenly distributed. Everywhere in the world you have brilliant people who are born, who have brilliance in terms of solving mathematical problem, artistical brilliance, and brilliance is everywhere. Now, opportunity is not evenly distributed. Brilliant people across the world do not have the same opportunities to access ways to have a better life. And this is what we are basing our model on. And what we want to achieve is to detect these brilliant minds through our selection process. Well, we let people apply to our program. They do not need to have any prior experience writing software, but being brilliant, are able to quickly equip themselves through our online learning, self-learning tools, and then be able to pass our selection tests. So those who are capable, in our cycle 1 in Rwanda, we had about 1,000 applicants. About 300 of them were able to learn from this online material, pass our tests, so to get to a level where they pass through our interview process. Then through our interview process, you have other tests, and we selected about 50 people from the 300. These 50 people are going to go through a 2 weeks boot camp, which is a program where they now really it's happening in Rwanda. They are going to work on writing code during the 2 weeks, but actually building a product. And throughout this process, they will continue to be evaluated. And we hope a good number of them will make all our criteria, which are not only ability to learn and write code fast and in good quality, but also soft skills, ability to work with teams, ability to communicate, ability to express where one is having challenges, ability to understand feedback and apply feedback, which are the soft skills that are required to become a real great software developer. Because when you develop software, you are developing it for the purpose of a product, right? And you are listening and interacting with the users of the product, the potential users of the product. You are interacting with the product owners, project managers. So you need to be able to have good soft skills to do that.
Absolutely. When you talk, of course, about the development of codes, you've also mentioned the different products. So when you get these young ones at a young age, do you orient them to a specific type of product, say mobile phones, or, you know, the kind of, that should be much more of your terminologies on the kind of softwares that you use. Would you say then that you have specific orientation for specific products, so that you know the country needs, same in terms maybe of electricity, we need more in terms of water, you know?
Well, you mentioned the country needs. I would want to say that the world needs. Why is we start from a point where there is a big shortage of software engineers across the world, mostly if we look at statistics in developed countries. We have a shortage of 1.5 million software engineers that are needed on the market, but they are unable to find them. Now, you have a number of technology stacks or type of software coding languages that are mostly needed in the world. And that's what those are the ones that we focus our learning process and experience on. Of course, we adapt to new demands and so, but they are across. Most people will say, we think of mobile, computer or so, but now more and more the same language or the same type of code that you use, it's the same type of code that you use both for mobile application and other type. When you are a great software engineer, you are able to build applications that are consumed different in all these different type of devices. So yeah, to respond to your question, we focus our learning on languages that are most needed and most used in the world today. And our focus is to develop software engineers, software developers who are able to work on products being built anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So we have a question here that says the Andela Fellowship is your flagship program that you have currently, but you also have Andela Learning Community. What are these two programs, and how can Rwandans participate in it?
So the Andela Fellowship is basically when you join Andela to become a full-time Andela software developer where you continuously learn, but at the same time are employed and participate to build technology product as distributed software engineer for global tech leading companies that are partner to our company. This is the process we've been talking about earlier, which is very difficult to go through and succeed to entering in. But when you enter into Andela as a fellow, it's a full-time employment.
Do you pay for this?
Yes, we pay. Like from day one, when you have joined our company as a fellow, you start earning money. The first 8 months, you are mostly learning. But after that, you become a software developer who can work on one of our partner, with one of our partners, partner companies, and you continue to be paid, of course, more and more depending on your level of experience that you acquire continuously within Andela. And
coming in through to the fellowship, do I also pay when I'm applying for this?
Absolutely not. It's free. You apply. I mean, of course, you incur some cost when it comes to the process of applying, paying for internet, spending your time, but there is no payment to join Andela. Now, that's the fellowship. So you join, you are really a full-time employee who continuously have opportunity to learn, continuously develop their level of software engineering skill until they become a senior software engineer. Our fellowship program is 4 years. The first 8 months, 6 to 8 months is full-time learning. Then after that, you are placed to work with a partner, but you continue learning. By the time you are at the 4th year, you are a senior software developer to the same level as any top level software engineer in the world. Now, that's the fellowship. Andela Learning Community is a program we have launched so to even encourage more people to acquire software development skills. So it's in partnership with different players. When we started some Andela leadership community programs, we're in partnership with Google, with Microsoft. The one we are currently running in Rwanda is it's a program that we build internally, but the idea here is a learning program that it goes over 4 months that can be started by anybody, be it already a software developer or no software development experience or knowledge at all. And the idea is that this equips you with a number of certificates and knowledge, but also certificates in basically software development. Now, we expect that by running Andela Learning Community, some of the best people who go through this process might want to also later on join the Andela Fellowship, so to become full-time software developers.
Speaking still of education and some of the fellowships that you hold, of course, when Andela came into the country, the vision was to become a Pan-African hub. And of course, the country also has a vision of becoming the IT hub for the continent, you know. How do you match the two? And do you believe that this can be achievable, really? Can you really take over, say, Kenya? We've seen Kampala also doing very well in Uganda, South Africa, when it comes to coding and stuff like that. Yeah. Will you match this?
This will, I mean, I strongly believe this will work. And it's aligned with both the vision of Rwanda, the country, and Andela. Starting with Rwanda, we've been positioning ourselves for the last few years to becoming a technology hub in Africa. And Rwanda government knows, and that's why it simplifies and participates heavily in the free trade area and different universities that are already Pan-African, like CMU, Africa Leadership University, Africa Institute of Mathematics, is positioning itself to attracting bright minds from all parts of Africa. And it's really something that's important for some place to become a hub. It's that the brains and the minds and the exchange of ideas are cross-border. It's not just one type of thinking. So starting from that, Rwanda has already started doing and showing that it's really about bringing and becoming a technology hub by bringing diversity of thinking process. Now, when it comes to Andela, we really want to scale our model as fast as possible. We want to give as many Africans an opportunity to become full-time software developers. Therefore, by setting up in Rwanda as a Pan-African hub, it allows us to not only tap into the brilliant Rwandans, but also open up to countries where Andela does not yet have an office or a center operating there. And in that way, Andela is able to touch and connect to more Africans, interest them to join the fellowship from anywhere because they can come to Rwanda, and Rwanda has made it so simple for them to actually come and do this in Rwanda. So I really believe this will work.
Digital literacy is still, should I say, quite low, you know. And of course, I'm sure this goes hand in hand with trying to understand how coding works or trying to encourage a parent to let their brilliant son, which of course you've seen, join this. How do you help in bridging this gap of digital literacy in the country?
First of all, I'm more optimistic about digital literacy. Having spent the last 4 years building Irembo, we've seen amazing strides in terms of people trying to actually get things achieved by themselves, interacting with, be it mobile money, be it the internet. So we are seeing a faster growth when it comes to this. Of course, our biggest contribution as Andela by building the next generation of Rwanda tech leaders, but also tech leaders based and working from Rwanda, the biggest contribution you will start seeing in the next couple years is more great products being built on the market. And the more you have more great technology products built, the more it onboards people to actually use them. I gave the example of mobile money as a great example of how people are using technology now to achieve things. If nobody had built mobile money, in no more Rwandan thinking through or the way they interact with money, exchange money would have not evolved this way. So imagine if you have other great products like that, more great products being built in the 2-3 years to come, then you start to accelerate digital literacy here.
And let's talk about STEM education, of course, the importance of this and its relevance to Andela. But we'll take a short break. When we come back, of course, we'll be talking still to Mr. Clément. And of course, he is the country director for Andela. And he's telling us it's not just about you having a tech know-how. It's about having a brilliant mind that will also open up opportunities for you. Do keep it the BQ. We'll be back after this short break.
That Rwanda has already
the country director for Andela, and he's telling us it's not just about. Welcome back, and thank you very much for keeping it the big Q. Of course, we are still talking to the country director of Andela, and of course, we are talking about software developers and how they're about to change the country and the global world, of course, with the help of brilliant minds, just like Clément just put it right now. Let's talk about STEM education. STEM education, especially the women part of it, the young girls part of it. Because I'm sure when you talk about software developers, I'm sure you'll agree with me that most, if not half, if not 3/4 of them are men. How do we encourage the young ones, the young girls to come on board? And is STEM education really important, or is just having a brilliant mind that works for you?
Well, first of all, in the point of view of Andela is that diversity is extremely important for us. And we emphasize on having and giving as many the same opportunity to as many women and girls as possible. And actually, currently we are at 24% of our developers being girls and women. The global average, I think, is 7%, so we are doing much, much better. I have a strong belief that in Rwanda we are well equipped to even have a better impact and a better percentage of participation of women coders, because not only we have set the mindset right, that anybody can be a scientist and anybody can participate in this, digital revolution, and there are many programs that are targeting women, so to increase the participation of women within the software development and software engineering industry. So I really, it's our mandate as Andela to be as diverse as we can be, and we need to constantly partner with the right people so to identify the best way to do this so more women are software developers.
Still with software developers, of course, we know of the brain drain, and we know, of course, that your headquarters, Andela, are in New York, they're not in Rwanda. There's a fear out there that people say, of course, maybe they'll come, tap in our best brains, tap in our best coders, take them to New York, take them to America, take them to China, Singapore, and let them work there. Is this fear valid? Should we be afraid that you're taking our best minds and exporting them elsewhere?
Well, first, and it will be an anchor to responding to your question, our headquarters is not in New York, our headquarters is the internet. Oh, okay. We only have centers across the world, including New York, San Francisco, Lagos, Nairobi. So we do not have or believe that we do have a headquarter, but our headquarter is the internet because we all work and collaborate. We are distributed teams trying to achieve the same mission to advance human potential by powering today's teams and investing in tomorrow's leaders. Now, coming to that, one is that the developers that we build, the software developers that we build, are employed in Andela centers in the countries where we recruit them, but work as distributed workers for the different partners we have. So they do not leave their countries, they stay there. So that's one first truth I wanted to set. And we generally believe in the future of distributed work, where you will see more and more people contributing to the world, but without necessarily being to a specified center of work. And this is actually growing fast within the software development environment, and where most companies will now more and more employ distributed worker contributing to write code. So no, I do not believe that there will be any brain drain, because our model is set that way, where we have our software developers working from where the countries we recruit them, so to produce code in a distributed manner for our partners, yeah.
So speaking of this revolution, which of course you've called the internet, and we all know that all eyes are on the internet, everyone currently wants to do something on the internet. But when you look at the reality, do you really have the infrastructure in place? Would you say we have the right infrastructure in place? In Africa, say,
No, the infrastructure is there, and actually even getting better and better. When it comes to Rwanda, we are now doing more and more when it comes to, well, we have more availability of internet. It's growing faster. You have most of the internet service providers able to provide real broadband connectivity. We are talking here about 50 megabytes per second, 800 megabytes per second connectivity. It's true that a model of distributed work like the one we have at Andela requires huge amount of connectivity and internet, and we strongly believe that business models like this one actually will make sense for different investors to put in more effort so to improve even the infrastructure. But I think in most countries in Africa, infrastructure has been really, or the challenge around infrastructure has been decreasing fast. So,
I'm saying this because when we talk about hubs, IT hubs, when we talk about, say, K-Lab, Fab Lab, all these coders, you know them better. Yeah. Most people will say that the rural areas are left out. Because I'm sure you want to go to Changugu and find a branch of Andela or K-Lab or something of that sort. And I'm sure we have brilliant minds out there. How do we bridge the gap? And of course, internet connectivity isn't as fast, of course, as it maybe would be in Kigali today, because statistics have shown the same thing. So the issue is, how do we bridge this gap and ensure that even those who are in the rural areas know about Andela, know that they can be part of this, that their brilliant minds can be put to use up here?
That's a good question. I'll respond to this in my two capacities somehow, my capacity of chairman of the ICT chamber and my capacity as country director at Andela. When it comes to the ICT chamber, we've actually been working with different partners to find a way we can scale the KLab model to different locations. But what would that mean is that you create some kind of not only environment where brilliant minds can be offered opportunity to meet, interact, learn faster, and create things. But at the same time, you need to have some kind of a curriculum that makes it so that when you go there, you are just not getting in there, so that you have something to go through, learn from, and be equipped to actually make the next step to building something. So when we started to look at this opportunity to scale KLab, one of the things that maybe still has a gap is, did we identify some kind of a curriculum that actually gets people to go from no idea at all or something, just the will to participate and create something, to go from that stage to becoming an innovator? Do we have a curriculum except a space that's called KLab with connectivity with internet? Do we have some kind of a curriculum? And that's what we are putting a focus on. Like, yes, let's scale KLab, but let's scale a more meaningful KLab where you do not just find a space, you find a space and some kind of content material that allows you to go from a stage to another. Now, in my capacity as country director at Andela, this is what one of the purpose of the Andela learning communities. It's really a great curriculum that has proven to equip people with the skills required to build and to write code. I don't know if you know about these online courses that are available, Coursera, Udacity. If I'm to give you an idea, there's free online courses that anyone can start and finish and become and actually acquire knowledge of around software development or any other subject. But if you look at these, only 5% of people who start them get to the end of it. 80%, our Andela learning community is based on the same model. It's online learning courses that are put together, but combines this with some sense of community, because you take like 500 developers in Rwanda, but these people know each other, they meet, so they encourage each other. And secondly, we add facilitation with voluntary learning facilitators who will at a certain stage meet up or interact with the learners, so to even assist them more to go through the program. What we've seen is that we have a 90% completion rate compared to 5% for people who just do it themselves. So we believe that scaling this model, Andela learning communities, and making it available everywhere in Rwanda, then you will start having more and more people from across Rwanda participating in becoming better software developers, and eventually leveraging this experience through the Andela learning community to later on joining us as fellows.
If I let you go, my director is telling me that you're really running out of time, but I want to take or pip on your mind, especially as the ICT chamber president. Of course, I wouldn't let you go just like that. The curriculum that you've just talked about, do you see the importance of molding, say, primary school? Because we have seen other countries that have primary school children who are coming up, coding. Do we have the same in Rwanda? If not, the curriculum, how do we change it now to ensure that this upcoming generation is learning the same thing and, they're trying to catch up with the rest of the world?
At that level, what we, in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, yes, even though number one skill that's required to really contribute to this digital revolution is ability to constantly be a problem solver, right? For that, you need creativity. You need to look at things, try them, fail, and then try them over and over and over again. If there was anything to be done at that level of primary school, is to equip learners with the ability to try things, test things, touch things, and fail and start over again. The ability to have critical thinking. There is a problem there. Let us exchange what can be the solution. And it doesn't necessarily require digital skill. It does require only new method of setting the classroom and the way you learn in a way where people are more confident at debating and exchanging and having a critical thinking mindset, so to be problem solver later in their
so hopefully the right authorities are listening to you and getting a thing or two out of there. But as you sum up your closing remarks, when you talk to me personally, if you tell me to be a software developer, I'll tell you that's too hard. I think it's more physics or chemistry or mathematics, which is not everyone's soup, But as we close up, the young ones who are watching, the parents who say, oh, maybe this could be an opportunity for my child, what's your encouraging word, or you just your parting remarks to this?
Software engineering is part of the job of the future, if not the job of the future. This is really a great opportunity for us to contribute to the overall digital revolution. And it's accessible, it's feasible. It's not something that's not feasible. We are all born equal and we have equal abilities. I'm loving being part of this journey as part of Andela, because I think it's the one single thing that has demonstrated that we are able to actually contribute at scale to the future of the world and to this digital revolution. So what I would say is that we need to really be aware of this eventuality of software engineering and related job becoming the job of the future. The ability for us to contribute to this by not only starting to be interested in it, but learning and learning mathematics, sciences, because this is a good path to becoming later on great software developers. And I want to tell everyone that this is a great opportunity, like joining Andela and Andela coming to Rwanda. It's a great opportunity to start equipping oneself to becoming a world-class software engineer. Like you might, I know I'm a software engineer myself by training. I know that many people who did software development at school actually aren't doing it because there was no employment, actual employment opportunity. This is a huge employment opportunity for people who are really passionate about software engineering and would like to make it their profession. And yeah, it's the job of the future. Well, thank you very much, Clément, for making time to be with us. Of course, we'll be talking about software engineering. We've talked about STEM education. We've talked about the importance of thinking outside the box and critical thinking, especially when it comes to certain jobs. Do not just sit at home, and let's embrace the digital revolution that has come. My name is Fiona Mbabazi, and do remember to keep sending in suggestions on who you want to see on the show, and of course, do keep it Rwanda Television. At the box and critical to certain jobs. Do not just sit at home, and let's embrace the digital revolution that has